Hi, and welcome to Horror Recapped. Today we will be examining 2014's Tusk. Beware, spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie begins with the two podcasters, Wallace Brighton and Teddy Kraft, live on their podcast named The Not See Party, which was mainly about making a mockery of viral videos. In this episode of the podcast, they play a funny video of a teenage boy who cuts off his leg with his sword while trying to perform a trick, earning him the nickname Kill Bill Kid on the internet. His video goes viral and it becomes popular, which is the reason why he's being talked about on the podcast. Wallace flies from America to Canada with the hopes of interviewing the Kill Bill Kid. He arrives at his destination, but is disappointed to find out that the boy had taken his own life. Wallace has mixed feelings about having to fly that far for nothing, but he decided to not let the ticket fee go to waste. So he plans on spending 2 days in Canada, hoping to find something interesting to talk about on the podcast. Wallace visits a bar where he laments about his problems. He leaves for the restroom and comes across a letter inviting anyone to listen to interesting stories and get a free room. This interests Wallace. He goes to the nearest convenience store and calls the number on the letter and talks to a man who we later know to be Howard. Wallace gets a detailed address from Howard. He confirms his route by asking for directions from the two female sales assistants in the convenience store. He heads out to his destination just before writing the address of the house on a pad given to him by the sales assistants. The destination is Howard's place of residence. On arriving there, he enters the house and finds an old man seated in a wheelchair. The two become acquainted, and not much later, Howard offers him some tea. Howard tells Wallace stories of his days at sea as a young man who lost his way, but was saved by a walrus named Mr. Tusk. Soon, Wallace collapses and becomes unconscious. He dreams of the moments before he left for Canada, the last moments he spent with his girlfriend, Allie Leon. Wallace wakes up to find himself on a chair. He soon finds out that his left leg had been amputated. He freaks out and tries to get Howard to let him speak to his family, but Howard keeps coming up with excuse after excuse. He lies to Wallace that he was bitten by a poisonous spider, that his leg had to be amputated to save his life. Soon, Howard reveals to Wallace that he could still use his legs perfectly, and that he was not disabled. Howard tells Wallace his plans bit by bit. Later that night, while having dinner, Wallace tells Howard he can't use his hands. That would be the morphine, Howard replies. He continues to tell him that the morphine would also make him sleepy. "I'm not sleepy. I'm immobilized," Wallace tells Howard. Wallace confronts Howard about there being a spider, and Howard lies to him. Wallace soon begins screaming, calling Howard names. Howard gets up from his chair, walks across the table, and slaps Wallace on the face. The next scene shows Wallace's girlfriend, Allie Leon, in despair. She is being consoled by Wallace's best friend, Teddy. She thinks Wallace is cheating on her and is having fun with other women. In reality, Wallace had been a jerk and had cheated on her previously. Allie calls Wallace's phone. Wallace rushes to get the phone but is unable to reach it in time. He calls back, but Allie doesn't pick up, and he leaves a voicemail for her. Wallace calls his best friend Teddy immediately. Teddy, however, refrains from answering as he is in bed with Wallace's girlfriend. An example of just how selfless all best friends should be. Howard hears Wallace on the phone and hits him on the head just before he can leave vital information via voicemail. The next day, Allie wakes up and listens to the voicemail from Wallace, confused and ignorant. She rushes to pass the phone to Teddy, who is just waking up. They are quick to take action and they try to track Wallace's whereabouts, flying to Canada almost immediately. Meanwhile, Howard continues his experiment on Wallace with his torso intact. He narrates his life story to the unconscious Wallace. He tells him that he became an orphan after his parents were murdered. He was placed in an orphanage where he was treated very poorly. Howard continues to tell Wallace that when he was only 15 years old, he escaped, got on a boat, and he never looked back until now. Soon, Howard completes the transformation of Wallace's body. He is now a human walrus. Now he must learn to swim. Wallace groans in pain as he is being dragged underwater by the heavy chains connected to the lower part of his new walrus body. Underwater, Wallace sees other dead humans who were also turned into walruses, and he becomes determined to survive. Howard is happy with this progress and pets Wallace before he leaves him with fresh fish and spies on him from outside the room. The hungry Wallace uses most of his energy to get the fish and eats it. Howard is very happy, as this is the most progress he has made. Meanwhile, Teddy and Allie search for Wallace, using a photo to help identify him. They then make a report at the police station in Canada, and they are referred to an inspector, whose name they later know to be Guy Lapointe. He is interested in the case, and has been tailing this serial killer for years now. Guy Lapointe reveals to them that the serial killer begins by cutting the legs off his victims. He then joins their hands together. He tells them about a case where one of the victims had a small fragment of his tibia bone in his mouth. He also thinks that he encountered the man several years back, but was unable to identify him. Howard says that when he was lost at sea, his only companion was a walrus, which he killed to survive. He was later rescued a few hours after killing the walrus, Mr. Tusk. Howard has spent most of his years trying to create Mr. Tusk to give him a second fighting chance. Lapointe explains that the serial killer had lots of victims over the years, all deaths following the same patterns. The search with Guy Lapointe begins with him asking who knew Wallace best, and Allie says she's the one. He then asks Allie if Wallace had any ritual before driving. She tells him that Wallace likes to get drinks at convenience stores. They visit the nearest convenience store where the clerk remembers Wallace, and they are able to get the address from the notepad. Wallace and Howard battle it out, with Howard infusing himself in a walrus costume to give Mr. Tusk a fighting chance. Lapointe, Terry, and Allie head to the place, and just before entering, Lapointe hands Allie and Terry a weapon for protection, and he takes the big one for himself. Teddy refuses to accept it until Allie tells him to. They head into the house slowly when they hear Wallace's screams. Allie and Teddy rush into the house screaming Wallace's name. This makes Wallace's survival instincts kick in, and he can defeat and kill Howard. Allie and Teddy are in shock and heartbroken to see Wallace in the form of a walrus. 1 year passes, and we see that Teddy and Allie still visit Wallace. That's going to wrap up this recap. We hope you've enjoyed it. If so, please click the subscribe button with notifications turned on so you don't miss a single video.